Wait. Oh my God, Sheriff, you got to watch this show. I'm telling you, it's very funny.
It's what's really funny is that before we started here, Mags was like, he's like, Sheriff, Rob's kind of your guy, one, you got to be the one to bring him in on this. I don't really know. In my back of my head, I'm like, this is gonna happen at some point in this podcast. I just know it is.
Papa's popping and locking, Magnum scrutinizing. Papa Max Podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 18 of the Poppin' Mags Pinecast. Mags, we're now up to 115 days since we were told in the AMA that we were able to get our NFTs off a Theta Drop within a few weeks.
Yep.
And you know what I heard this week?
Why don't you tell everyone?
I heard that their ante was upped because I heard from a few different sources that now we're being told it's happening within 2 weeks. So I believe we're a week into that already. I don't know why. That kind of scares me that someone's putting a 2 week that number tag on there, but
Right.
there was some posts that showed that it said 2 weeks. So let's see. Hopefully this count up can stop next week. We'll see.
I mean, and if that does happen, that's good for everyone. I'm not going to take credit for it.
Is there going to be any kind of party?
No.
Is it going to be an immediate move to the freezer for your pineapples?
For a good amount of them, sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to dust off my my Leggy. Haven't had to use it in a while.
It's not like it's holding any crypto, so.
Yeah, well, whatever was on there, it's now on Theta Drop. So now I need to get it back on there.
Right, it's a way to put more value on your ledger. For
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, it needs to get back on there. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. But speaking of Theta Drop, I don't know if you got the drop, but I got so yesterday I was out and about, and I was expecting a drop. You know what I was expecting yesterday? The big one.
Are you talking the redeemable?
No, I'm talking the big one that was dropped on Thursday, the 15th.
Oh, Thursday. I got my days mixed up. Yes.
It's all right.
Well, the only reason I say that is because there was been redeemables coming, and I got one earlier this week.
Redeemable for what?
Well, the metal print.
Oh. Yes. Okay,
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I did hear of it, and I actually got mine yesterday as well from the UPS man. So that's absolutely beautiful. But I got that before I went out for the day. But now I'm coming home, and it's it's about 7:00 Eastern. And as soon as I get home, first thing I do, bang, right to my wallet. Where's my Thetaverse fuse? And guess what I find? I find a WPT Season 19 NFT in there. So you know how sometimes you open up your wallet and like the most recent one kind of doesn't.
Yes.
So that was happening. So I'm just like, rubbing my hands together, ready to see my beautiful Thetaverse fuse. Bang, WPT card. I'm like, what is this? Where did this come from? I got hosed. Yeah. But you know what the funny thing about that is? I never had a WPT card until the day before when they had that 1000 T drop challenge.
Oh, you didn't even tell me about this. I don't know anything about it. Thanks.
My bad. There was 3 different things you needed. It was like a DigiDave, man, there's something else.
Okay,
and a WPT card. So I needed to pick up a $1.49 WPT card. So I scooped that up, and I scooped it up just in time to get this WPT Season 19 thing, which is pretty cool. I noticed that there's you log in to Theta Drop, and there's a videos section. So because I own this, it opens up this video section, and there's video there that you can watch. Huh. But you know what my first thought is?
No.
well, why am I going to watch it on Data Drop when I can watch it on Imagine Replay and earn coins? I mean, it's not the same. Obviously, it's not the same episodes, but
Right.
you know, I'm just hoping that maybe this like a view into the future of Imagine Replay, going to be offering, that kind of gated NFT service like that. It certainly seems possible, and maybe this kind of NFT can act as a multiplier. I know they have something like that they mentioned in the white paper. So certainly still
Interesting.
very, very anxious about the Imagine Replay and the RPlay coin, even though this week they dropped from 20 an hour to 10 an hour. But hey, what are you going to do? That means
That's
think that
coin
means we're
our play
getting one. Yeah, that's the
tokens per
RPlay.
hour.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah. I think that just means we're getting one step closer to where they're trying to go. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
and if they were
Yeah.
listening to us since we had Imagine Replay on, they would have known about our play then and could have been earning all this time the full
That's
rate.
Yeah. I mean, I think we even did a little advertisement for them too for a couple
Very
weeks,
little,
right?
yes. Yep.
But yeah, no, they were banging them in at 20 an hour there for a while, and I think they're getting through the beta phase. They're kind of working out the kinks, like trying to make sure everything's working proper. And I think they must be getting happier. They must have learned something, and now they're lowering the reward. So we'll see where it goes from here. But
I think that's
I'm
bullish. Very
I
bullish.
I am
What they
bullish
say.
on it, and it's still 10 an hour, so I'm still
Right.
gonna I'm still watching some WPT, trying to get some strategy for next time I play some poker.
Sure.
Have you watched any of those? Do any of those WPTs stick out to you on Imagine Replay?
Do any of them stick out to me?
Yeah.
Just the helicopter in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of episodes that stick out to me. Like one is a huge comeback. There's one where the guy's celebrating and he busts his knee. He like tore his ACL or something, like jumping up and down because he won a pot. But yeah.
Yeah.
So now, it's well documented that you are the most humble of the humblest, right?
I mean, if you say so.
If
I don't.
if somebody has a question about humble, I think you'd want to go to the self-proclaimed humblest, right?
Maybe.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
There was a little banter on Imagine Replay Discord earlier this week, and somebody goes through and like they made like a very obvious statement, and then they said, "I'm no expert, but this is just my humble opinion." Is saying that a humble thing?
I guess it depends what you're saying.
Does it though?
Yeah. If you're saying, so I don't know what was said, but if I was on there and I said Christian Dan are so humble, they given us these our play tokens. That's just so humble them. Is that a humble thing to say?
Well, that's yeah. I mean, okay. So this guy was going on basically saying like, oh, how are you going to stop people from, running all this stuff? Like, they had basically gone through and said that the maximum that anyone can run is 5 streams, right?
Off an IP, a unique IP.
Off a unique IP. So basically in a household, you can run 5. So he's like, oh, well, people could be abusing it and this and that. He's like, you got to really, you should max it out and this and that. And just like kind of bringing things up where it's like, these guys are running a company. You think they haven't thought about this? Like how this is like basic things that they're obviously trying to stop from happening.
Well, can
and
I
then he
call
dropped with that, but just to finish, like he dropped in there in his humble opinion.
Sure.
So I just felt it was not humble at all. And I was wondering if there was a chance to say, in my humble opinion, where it was actually humble. Take the floor.
Well, I guess I think he takes his opinion as humble when he's trying to make a point that isn't very well accepted, maybe, I guess. But
well, it's just so obvious. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
What if somebody showed up at your job and said like the most obvious thing and just said it was like his humble opinion?
You can say, you can say that in satire. I've heard it.
Yeah, but then it's not really humble.
But I mean, it's tough. I know, like I struggle with emails, and I think I killed you yesterday discussing an email I shouldn't have sent that whatever. I don't want to get into it, but in my head, it was the right way to go. I still think it was the right way to go. It definitely was not a humble email. There was a lot of shade thrown, and I'm humble enough to admit it. But yeah, that definitely ruined my day, and then I ruined your day with making you listen to it. And I'm just waiting for that. Just waiting to get that bill. I don't know how much a copay is, but
it's all right. Yeah.
uh,
No, that's you. I mean, I think you more than made up for it with your bro sesh last night with the one and only Rob Feldman. Special guest for the week. All of a sudden turned into just the Mag and Rob show.
me
pretty
and
impressive.
me and Rob go way back to last night.
Yeah, to Mr. Wizard.
Yeah, in a lot of other things as well.
Yeah, but I think you go back as far as Mr. Wizard, right? Or was there something that was before that?
I don't know when Mr. Wizard, if there's any kind of search engine, maybe could tell me when it came out. But I remember being aware of it. I remember waking up early in middle school and watching Mr. Wizard because I had a science project. So he did a bunch of like simple science projects. So it might have been old, and I saw it when I was in middle school, whatever.
But yeah,
but yes,
I mean,
but the Mad Balls. I mean,
yeah,
the
there
Mad
you
Balls,
go.
you can't do that on television.
Yeah,
and the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So
right, yeah. So you brought it back with him for sure.
Definitely.
You guys hit it off so much that he spilled some secrets for us last night. How was that?
That you pressed him on. I was
I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah,
no
you
way.
Tried to press him on stuff.
No, I was very open. Listen, Rob, we're not trying to force any. Whatever you're comfortable with, and it was a comfortable environment, and he let it rip. So we got some insider info.
Here's what happened. You took advantage of Rob. He's jet lagged. He just came across country, then had to stay up past his normal bedtime to talk to us.
Well, in my humble opinion, Rob's a professional.
Rob is a professional. Look, the other thing too, a lot of people don't know, Rob didn't spend his per diem on food. He used it to buy expensive shirts at Dan Flash.
Maybe he was hungry and he was hangry.
So I don't blame Rob. I don't blame Rob for anything. I blame you for everything.
All right, that's fine. I'm used to that. But hey, we gotta bleep that out. So that's on you. So I don't know if you noticed. Have you been in SPS Discord at all this week?
I've been in and out. I've been busy this week.
That's right. You have been busy, but there's been a resurgence within the SPS Discord. If you haven't noticed, the one and only Rare Robot has been posting.
No shit.
Yeah, he has been. And one of the questions that he rose, I mean, I don't know how much these secret factions should remain secret, like the Pig Pines and this and then the Skull Pines. But he posted in one of them, if there was a special weapon that you would want as a Pig Pine, is there a weapon you would choose? Like, what's the perfect weapon for a Pig Pine?
So you did mention something to me, because was it this week? You said, "Hey, have you been in the pigs Discord?" And I said, "I don't own a pig." Maybe that was last week.
You don't own a pig?
I don't own a pig.
All those floors and none of them are piggies?
And it's funny because the pig is the pink beast, also known as the pig, is one of the most common pineapples.
I went through a phase where I couldn't even look at them. Like, they just, I remember
heated discussions on Discord and Twitter, just going against them. I'm convinced that the hogs turn the page once URP got one.
Yeah, this started for sure with URP, but before Pig Pines became cool, I was calling them pigs, and it wasn't in a good way. It was
derogatory, and now it was.
And they were. I just didn't. You look at all of them, like you look at them, you see like a nice rust scowl.
Sure.
Looks cool, and then the next thing you see is like a pink beast. It's like, oof. Just the color,
Right.
of it. Oh man, I'm not digging it. But now the pigs are something special.
Oh, that must have caused quite the stir.
But you're skirting my question here.
Okay.
Do
What would
you
I
have
want?
what kind of weapon goes with the pig pine? That like what would you choose?
I don't. Are pigs fighters? Don't you just put an apple in their mouth and roast them?
Yeah, but now pretend you're like fighting you are a pig pine and
You
you
are
need
a
a
pig
weapon.
pine. The biggest weapon you could get, I guess. I don't know.
The
I guess
one
I'm
that
missing something.
no, you're not missing anything. It's just the question that was asked. You know, they're for like some kind of pretend
Like
there's like a little
other
mini game or something.
other than like items that have already are out, because I think what would go most
Yeah.
with a pig would be like the pitchfork or fork with a mustard hot dog or a hamburger
Well,
because they're pigs.
maybe not the hot dog, right?
Oh, too soon. Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
his buddy.
Yeah, that's true.
But somebody brought up an ugly stick. I thought that was kind of funny.
Or a selfie stick would be funny because
A selfie stick.
yeah, I think that's funny because they're just so disgusting. But the pigs,
Yeah, but you're not really using that as a weapon. You're not getting far if you are.
You're a pig and you're taking selfies and then you're posting them online. That's gonna scare a lot of people off.
All right.
No.
I mean, they're not my favorite. No, but
no.
Hey, if people got love for the piggy pines, I mean, I got love for all my pines, and there's going to be a home. I got a few pig pines. I'm surprised. I'm still surprised you don't have any, but hey.
Yeah. I am so unlucky with floors that once a common floor becomes somewhat desirable, I don't have it. So
yeah.
So think about that one.
All right, amazing. So yeah, no, we're heading into week 2 here for our fantasy football competition. And it looks like Team Popper's coming into week 2 with just completely dominating.
Look, I've taken a lot of crap this week over a lot of stuff related to this football game, and you know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's going to come up still here.
Okay.
But I was going to start with the team domination because that's
okay.
Just, 2,397 to 1,928 after week 1. I mean, ouch. Just ouch.
Have we decided about the bye week, or are we not doing the bye week?
Well, here's what we did. Team Popper was just so humble that he gave you Doc Theta. Doc Theta came in late. We both had one person on our teams that didn't make picks. So I just X'd them and I threw Doc Theta on yours because you were getting housed so hard.
Oh, mercy rule.
Yeah,
ruled.
I mean, it was close. I mean, not to throw any names out, but Dutch Goldsmith, he entered the 100 T-Fuel pool, I believe. And guess what his score for the week was? I mean, now granted, Dutch is a soccer. I'm sorry, he is a football maximalist. Okay. So he is not an American football fan, but he graciously came on, and I applaud him for being a part of it. But he's picking guys I'd never even heard of. I don't know how you'd find these guys because basically you open up the list and it's like all the good guys are at the top.
So I mean, how did he do?
He scored 4 points last week.
And he's on my team?
Yeah, he's on your team. He was actually your last pick.
You know what? That's 4 points I didn't have.
That is 4 points you didn't have because I threw in Doc Theta to go with it. All right.
Well, I appreciate that. Maybe the humble title goes over to you. Maybe that's on the line.
Well, you know what? Listen, if I end up losing and I owe you a half-gallon of ice cream, guess what I'm going to do when I'm at Stewart's?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to get myself one too.
Well, that's mighty humble of you.
I mean, that's just at this point, it is what it is. I'm hanging out, trying to finish up some work one night this week, and going back and forth with one of our buddies that might have hit the mailbag last week about his ice cream cake.
I have it up right now.
He's he's like, oh man, I'm gonna go get. We started talking about the ice cream bet. He's like, I'm gonna go get my ice cream cake. I was like, man, I don't have any ice cream here, man. I'm dying for some ice cream right now. I haven't I don't have any in the house. I want some of that fireworks real bad. So I settled for an orange while this guy's over here eating his ice cream cake.
Oof.
Yeah. And of course, he
Wow.
busted my chops and wrote the mailbag. I saw.
You did see. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not much to say about that.
No.
What I did
Unnecessary.
like is it was a slam on both of us.
It was, yes, it was a slam on both of us because, all right, so your first pick of the draft, I gave you as,
Oh God, we're talking about this now?
we
Go
have
ahead.
to. We have
right.
to. Who was the first pick? Who did you pick first? I gave you first pick.
Well, I think going into that part is kind of misleading.
What do you mean? It's a simple question.
Dude, you played with my mind with that. You played with my mind. Here's
Jedi
what happened.
mind tricks?
Here's what happened. He goes, this is exactly how it went. Take you back like a week ago. Oh man, let's pick these teams. Man, I really want to get TZC. Hey, hey Magnum, why don't you go first? You sure? Oh yeah. I was like, okay. I think I'm gonna go with Goofed, and then you're like, are you sure? And I was like, oh man.
Wow.
I go, so I took that as Popper saying like, are you sure you want to go with Goofed? And then I saw an opportunity to be like, he just mentioned he wanted Theta Zilla Club. So I said, you know what? I'll take Theta Zilla Club. And then immediately he says, I'll take Goofed. Immediately. I was stunned. You played some games with my head. It was late.
I'm not sure I recollect it the same way you do, but that's
pretty
neither
close.
here nor there. Well,
Pretty
I do
close.
remember. It was pretty close because I do remember you picking Theta Zilla Club first, and I definitely took Goofed immediately thereafter.
Right.
But I just figured that she was out for blood, so get her over on my team as quick as possible.
It's better drama, I think, since she's already called me out. But
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
Goofed is Team Magnum through and through. But
I don't know.
For the drama factor, this is like
it needed to happen.
It needed to happen because people really care about this fantasy.
Yes,
football.
We care very much. I mean, hey, there are some pretty cool NFTs on the line for free just for owning a pine. So I mean, you can't throw too much dirt on it, you know. And she came out hard too. I think she's in second place right now, or
third,
top 3 for sure.
Sure,
third place. Yeah. So some of these picks people had, it's like, man, would you have a crystal ball like Aragorn picking Saquon Barkley in week 1? Like, dude's like out of nowhere, like against the Titans. It's like, how on the road? Okay. Just went for it. You only get to pick them twice and just hammered it. Home run.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Good call.
Yeah, great call. And I think Goofed actually took the top 2 wide receivers of the week, Kupp and Justin Jefferson. So that was pretty impressive as well. You and me did not fare as well, but at least
fared better.
Barely. Yeah, barely. But did you notice who Theta Zilla Club picked as his running back?
I know who he picked because I have the email up.
Yeah. So, we all have access to the internet, right? He picked Chris Carson, and the dude retired back in July. So he got a big goose egg for that one. But he still beat us both. So that's great.
He still beat us both, right?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Right. Because he's so humble too. He made sure we knew that.
Hey, you've mentioned how humble both of us are, so
you are 2 peas in the same humble pod. That is for sure. All right, man. You got anything else you want to bless us with this week?
No, I think we've killed everyone too much with the football. I think we need to get to the main event.
Main event, yeah. I mean, this was a fun one for sure. I think maybe you should talk about it a little bit since it kind of took it over on me, which was excellent, to be honest.
No, I think we just do our normal. I think we just do our normal thing, and then we'll just let people. Because I haven't edited yet. It could be terrible. All I know is me and Rob laughed our asses off. So
yeah. So guys, we have the creator of the CYKO KOs. We have the creator of the Memop Mania. We have the creator of the CYKO Heads. We have one of the heads of ThetaCon. We have a Theta TV streamer, a Comic-Con regular, all wrapped in one man, the one and only Rob Feldman.
After these messages.
This week's episode is brought to you by Rewarded.tv. What other place can you go to earn crypto as you watch and stream TV?
Wait, you can earn crypto?
You can earn crypto. It's called the RPlay token, my man.
RPlay. Didn't we have guests on previously that talked about this?
We did. Christian Dan, our boys from Imagine Replay.
Oh, cool. So they're finally out.
They're finally out. The official token drop happened, and you make an account on Rewarded.tv, link it to your email address, start watching and earning. It's as easy as that.
Oh, that sounds great. Can I get off this call with you now and start earning?
You can do that right now at Rewarded.tv. This week's episode is brought to you by ThetaCon 2022. What's better than spending a winter weekend in Florida? How about spending a winter weekend in Florida with a bunch of awesome people from the Theta community? December 2nd to the 4th at La Meridian in Fort Lauderdale. Tickets on sale now. The link for tickets and a lot more information can be found at thetacon.org. And honestly, $999 for the all-inclusive ticket is quite a deal. Comes with 2-night stay, a conference ticket, and $250 for on-premise food and drinks. I hope to see you there, and as Mags always says, that's from the both of us.
Papa Max, yeah. Papa Max. Papa Max Podcast. Papa Max Podcast.
Hello, Sheriff. How are you, sir?
How are you doing, Rob?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for joining us.
It's just I'm rarely on podcasts. I usually have my face in the camera or something. So this is good. So I could like pick my nose if I need to. Without,
Yeah, we like to hide.
I like that. And how are you guys doing? Good.
Yeah, can't complain. Everything is good here. I'm sure not as crazy. It seems like you're got a lot going on over there. We'll get into
yeah, I know. That's what Mags was saying too. Yeah. I know. I know. I've been like, I just got back from Portland on Monday, and I just sort of like dove into stuff, and I was like, the streaming I neglected today because I just had to catch up on stuff, and there's quite a bit happening right now, especially with I guess I could talk about some of it, So, but yeah,
whatever you feel comfortable. We're not whatever. So this is all about you, whatever you want to do here. So
okay, cool.
We got a few talking points, but we're not going to be like pushing for anything.
No, of course, yeah. I mean, I have another drop coming up soon, so that's kind of.
I did hear you kind of mention that. I caught a little bit of the Wes interview with you and Doc and Brian, and I heard basically that much.
Yeah.
They got another mystery drop coming up here at some point.
Yeah, and it's right now we're just sort of like putting everything in order and getting agreements and stuff. This is it's a little more involved than the previous ones, but it is pretty groundbreaking, to be honest. I know people say like, oh, it's groundbreaking, but this kind of is.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
All right. So yeah, I mean, we might as well just kind of get right into it. Respect your time here. I know that you got a lot going on. I'm not sure what time your bedtime is.
It's now.
Okay, so just like Brian Macer, yeah. All right, so yeah,
not as bad as Brian. Not as he gets up literally at 4 a.m. I see his Discord posts in ThetaCon, in our little planning chats, and I'm like 4:30. Like, dude, that's I don't know.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. Mags is afraid. Mags usually brings in the guests, but
I say we go in. Sheriff, we're just gonna run with it.
We're just in. Right, we're here.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that when I logged on. I thought you guys started without me.
We never started without you're sheriff in this town, so we never start without you.
All right, Rob. So so let's kind of start back. Let's start back at the beginning of like your NFT. And does your NFT life start with Theta, or did it start with Wax?
Yeah, it started with Wax actually. I had seen that. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that because I was on Theta TV like late 2020. That's when I started there. And one day we got a like pleasant surprise. They're like, "Oh, all of your emotes now are NFTs." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you kidding?"
Yep.
So technically it was Theta. And then they launched Theta Drop thereafter. And I thought to myself, do you remember Emerald Lagasse used to do that all the time?
Yeah.
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 I thought, you're never going to have a Theta Drop because they're not, you're just like kind of a, just a streamer or nobody. Well, whatever. That's what I thought. So there was a guy, Dennis, who was on Twitter, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to connect you with Nick over at Gnome Series, and you should drop on Wax." And so that's kind of what I did. And so I dropped quite a bit. I think it was like 200 cards or something like that over there. And they're still there. You could still buy packs and stuff like that. And you could use them to battle over at No City, gnocity.io. And so so that was technically the first drop that I had done. And I was kind of like a little bit disenchanted because I thought, well, I minted too many. That was kind of the problem. I was so new to it. I had no idea.
Sure. Yeah.
And then Theta, at the same time, like almost like a week later, I guess they saw the capabilities of like what I was doing with Wax. And, they were like, "Oh, do you want to do a drop too?" And that's when I did the action cards because I didn't want to duplicate what was already on Wax,
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with what's on Wax, but your first CYKO KO drop on Theta Drop, those are all like stills from your comic books that you had, right?
Right, because I didn't want to do the character cards were over at Wax, and I didn't want to duplicate it. In hindsight, maybe I should have, but I'm not ruling out that possibility going forward with not character cards, but something else. And so I was like, let's do action cards. Let's do like scenes from the comics, and certainly there's enough. Yeah, and it did really well. I mean, I don't think it sold out, but it did really well, and I was very pleased with the results. And that was good. And I felt like
Yeah, no, it did great. And honestly, yours was like the first one. I think it was right. Pugs had just went and they were like $10. And then the frogs went and they were $20. And then yours was like $50. So it was the most expensive one to start, but you got 5 cards. And I'm not sure if everyone realized that it was like a 5-pack, right?
Right.
There's 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And none of them were generative at the time. Like,
right.
I wasn't doing generative NFTs.
Right. None of the drops on Theta Drop at that point were generative.
Right.
They were all like sets of different ones.
Yeah. So and then I know the generative type of phase is kind of over in a way, but I don't know if it is. I mean, people say that it is, but I see it all the time with generative stuff, and I like them. I don't know if you ever made any generative NFTs, but
I have not, but there was a period of time on Twitter where you're scrolling and it's like everything is like a new generative drop that's coming down. It's like, wow, like this is getting a little out of control here.
Yeah, and
it's definitely slowed down.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is, what's really interesting about the NFT landscape is, I've been making content for like 20 years. And my age is no secret. And so for me, it's like it's all about the content first, NFT kind of after, but in that whole NFT landscape, you had a lot of like emerging, I want to make an NFT. Okay, well, what's it going to be? As opposed to, hey, I have this idea for a whole line of trading cards or, stickers or something like that. Oh, let's make that an NFT, So I'm always content first and story first minded, So with that idea, the generative NFTs, I think, that are, I want to say, true to form, right? Like there's like a story and content and stuff. I think they do better. Like nouns. I don't know if you're familiar with nouns at all.
Not familiar with that one, no.
Yeah, they look really good. And, my buddy Sam Ellis does these things called Puppet Kaiju. And so he, but he's an artist first, an NFT creator after,
So your pronouns.
I'm pro. Yeah, I like the nouns. I can't afford one. Pronouns. I like that though. Good play.
Thanks,
good play.
Yeah,
it took me a second.
I was gonna do it nouns or later, so I just had to think about it.
That would have been better. That's a better joke. The latter one.
They can't all be winners, you know.
I like them all. I like them all. It's a very
They're
dad
losers
type
if you
of
don't try them. Yeah.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
So now with the Psycho KO cards, you also have been doing airdrops too. Quite a few of them, the animated ones. Those though, are those from your previous work, or are you kind of just like, are those new creations?
No, those are new. Yeah, those well, kind of half and half. I mean, some of it's new, some of it's some of it's sort of repurposed, I guess. But like the Theta verse characters, which are like let's see, the Psych T and the Psych Theta and they're sort of Theta themed characters. That's all new work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the T Fuel surfboard down the lava.
Yeah, right,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
what about like that spider? The spider was
Oh yeah.
original, but then are you going to be using these in like future comics, or was
The
this strictly for airdrops?
No, so the other thing with the NFTs is I work on stories around them. You have Psych Theta and then you have Psych T, or I think that's what I called it. I can't remember. And then I had, Peachy T and all those characters.
Yep.
I do have plans to do a sort of Thetaverse comic. If it's not a comic, it'll be a strip or something like that. That brings those characters because we could sort of do whatever we want with them. They don't have to fall into the canon of the current CYKO, or even like the personalities of those characters. They can be entirely new. So that to me is exciting. So yeah, so I do intend to use them, as I intend to use the other NFTs as well that I've been doing in some shape or form in the comics or even animation.
Cool. So after Psycho KO, I believe the Memops came, right? Memop Mania? Was that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Memop Mania. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I had, I was working on this other series that I wanted to do as NFTs called Big Box Stars, which was based on there are a bunch of Max Fleischer, Iwerks inspired characters. These little retro animation from the 30s and 40s. I guess people would look at that and go, "Oh, it's like Cuphead." Well, Cuphead's like old Fleischer tunes and like all those, the dawn of animation. And so I was working on Big Box Stars and I was going to put that on OpenSea. And I just was having so much fun drawing these characters. And I was like, oh, this is great. I have maybe about 26 of them or something like that. And then I thought, let's do some generative stuff. And that's where I said, well, let's use Memop as the basis and we'll take all of those assets and we'll make them generative. And that was the first generative work I had done. And you helped me on that one, as did
Yep.
Theta Zilla Club.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because that was like, I didn't know he had the software. I forget the name of the software, but it was real.
Like Arweave, is that?
No,
How
it
do
wasn't.
yeah,
Oh man, I forget the name of it. It's like, yeah, I forget the name, but it was
yeah.
you got it through GitHub. You needed the Microsoft Visual Studio. Like it was real. It was one of those things that I was like, I'm out of my realm here.
Yeah.
And my computer was only it was only 32 bit.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. I was using this old computer from 10 years ago. And so finally I found this generative software that works great. So yeah, so now I could do it. But I launched Memop Mania. We did 888.
Yep.
And those took a little bit longer to sell, mainly because I don't think, I don't know, there wasn't a whole lot of marketing. People didn't know what it was,
Yeah.
But they sold.
Open Theta is a different kind of animal still.
Yeah.
It's still, I feel like it's kind of the little brother compared to Theta Drop, but a lot of, because a lot of people on Theta Drop, I feel like they're brand new to the space. It's very easy to sign up and do KYC and swipe your credit card, and now you're ready to go. Linking a wallet to MetaMask and doing that kind of thing can be a little bit overwhelming to someone that's kind of new in the space. So feel like there's a bit of an issue with that, but at some point we'll get people over there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love Open Theta, and I think they're very receptive to trying new things. But yeah, to your point, I think people are not familiar with using MetaMask and all of that. I mean, it's even I think all of those platforms that are built off the Theta blockchain that use MetaMask, it's kind of an uphill battle in some respects, but they're doing it, and it's great.
Yeah. Mags, was your first usage of MetaMask with Open Theta?
Yes. Yeah, you had that something. I think it went back to January. I think you sent me a Open Theta Awareness Week or something.
Yep, that's right.
And I'm not, I'm not a genius, and I did figure it out, and I was so proud of myself I mean, I just followed the steps. It wasn't rocket surgery, but but it was a little hectic. But I mean, I had focus and I had nothing but time, so it went pretty smooth actually.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming for me at first too when I was looking into how to do it. And I think also people see like, oh, I was minting with this MetaMask and all of a sudden, I got robbed and this and that. And it's just like MetaMask seems to have like a bad kind of reputation. At least that's how I felt originally. But, as long as you do it right and play safe, then, everything's fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy, I think, especially to attach Theta mainnet as well. But yeah, again, it's one of those things that it's not as easy as swiping your credit card. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I do love all the offerings on Open Theta. It's pretty exciting to see.
Yeah, there's
the variety. Yeah,
absolutely.
Hey, so Rob, can I kind of detract? I mean, this is still related, but I wanted to talk about your art for a second, if that's okay.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, I was a bit later to Theta Drop and Open Theta myself. Obviously, come across your stuff. What struck me when I start to notice your projects was the CYKO head drop, right?
Right.
And so I don't know. How long have you been in the comic book space? And so apologies, I just don't know, and I'm sure you've probably talked about that.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I've been doing comics in some shape or form for I guess since '95 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Not very well. I mean, I did I self-published a series of comics on newsprint back in like the late '90s, and it made its way into zines and stuff like that. And the art was awful, but the story had something, something growing. And then and then I moved to animation actually because that was the dawn, the early 2000s. Everybody was doing Flash animation, right? That's what I'd done. I taught myself Flash, and I just fell in love with the software. And I started uploading to Newgrounds, if you remember Newgrounds at all, which is still active, by the way, newgrounds.com. Yeah, I was making like daily top 5. I'd hit number 1, tremendous amount of work. I mean, a massive amount of work. But I just wanted to hit those numbers, like, oh, I got the top 1 today or whatever. So yeah, and then I didn't go back to comics, like actual printed comics, until like 2017 after I had this deal with Webtoon for CYKO in 2015 to do digital comics. So yeah, I've been doing something for the past, 20 years or whatever it is.
So am I wrong? So this is kind of what I see. It's nostalgic for me, these CYKOs.
Yeah.
So and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but to me, I kind of feel like there's like a little Hanna-Barbera in there.
You're 1,000% correct.
Okay, and Hanna-Barbera has a vast amount of stuff, but there's different things that just come to my head that I see in that, and then the heads themselves, I don't know why it kind of reminded me of Wacky Racers and like Dirk Dastardly and some of those other crazy cats, but I saw that immediately. It was just like, oh man. It almost looked like something old, but it's something new and it's something different. So that's what kind of like attracted me to it. That was my take.
And you're like among all the other people that find the same thing, and that's 100% purposeful. In fact, if you go to Webtoon, you could actually read the animated comics that I'd done for them, and it's complete with Hanna-Barbera sound effects. Like everything. Like seriously, it was totally intended to be that way. What's funny about like when you create an idea, and I made this idea, like 2009 or 10 or whatever it was. I didn't quite know the vibe. I was thinking like, oh, what could this be? And then when we were developing for Webtoon, my buddy Tom Akel, who's also CEO of Rocket Ship, the company I'm involved with, he was like, oh no, you gotta Hanna-Barbera this whole thing. And I was like, you're 100% correct. And then it was from that vibe that I was like, okay, let's roll with that. So yeah, what you're seeing is absolutely accurate and totally 100% on purpose.
And
And
so I was on. So I don't know if I think it was like a web page you have. Is it just the CYKO.com? It took me to those animated comics, and there's like some of them have like you just kind of like scroll through it almost, and there's all these sound effects
yeah,
of what you're seeing, and then like a laugh track on
uh-huh.
some of the
Yeah,
comedy
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that even brought it back more because I never really even looked at that. So I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. And I was just, before you got on, I just kept going on and looking at this, and I was like, oh crap, I got to get on. So
Yeah, I mean, I 100, like if you read the comics, I did about maybe 6 comics for Alterna Comics, which were all printed again on newsprint. I don't think I've ever been actually printed in regular print, I guess. But yeah, all the backgrounds are painted by an animation studio because I'm terrible with backgrounds, like totally terrible. And so what I do is I layer the characters on, so it has that very cartoon Hanna-Barbera feel. And when we do make an animated series, which I do have plans to do, I am going to stick the laugh track in.
oh great, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I think I read that also on your website too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the laugh track really helps people to laugh.
yeah,
I
well,
don't think
and
it does.
I will say just from where I'm sitting is I think the world needs more cartoons. It's just entertaining. I just love to see animation on the screen. But yeah, and that takes me back, but it's something new and it's something fresh. So
Right. I
so
mean,
it's different in that aspect.
in a way, it's almost like the lost Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That's kind of that's how I see it. And the stories are all ages, so it's a clean thing. They're episodic. The comics are one shots. There is kind of a formula, but that formula works because you know why? It worked for Scooby Doo. It still works for Scooby Doo, right? you
Yep.
know,
Oh,
Yeah.
so
absolutely.
there's a mystery gang, and let's split up. It's the same thing.
The cheesy jokes and then the laughing goes to cue you.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of that stuff.
Very cool.
So yeah, speaking of the Psycho KO heads, I think that might have been the first drop that had instant utility on Theta Drop. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's correct. What's funny that this is like now I can tell the story because Kima, I said to Kyle, over at Theta, I was like, I got this idea for a drop, but what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna sell. Initially, it was gonna be like comic covers, and I said, well, it's gonna open up a comic. Like that's the idea. We're going to use Theta Pass. So you connect your NFT. That's the only place you can read the comic. And
Yep.
then as it evolved, there was feedback like, well, we need to make it more collectible. And oh, by the way, do you have a developer? Send us the name of your developer. And I was like, okay, yeah. And then I didn't have I didn't have a developer. And so I was like, yeah, no problem. I'll get that to you in a couple of days. And so I called my buddy Austin, who, he was a sensei at our dojo. And I was like, hey, can you, I know you're like Bitcoin certified and Microsoft. So this guy's got like 1,000 certifications. First and foremost, he's like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Secondly, he can kill you 3 times before you hit the ground. And not only that, he could pick up all the dead bodies in one fell swoop because he can lift and bench like 800 pounds. Like, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. On top of all that, he taught himself the code and has taken these classes and certifications and stuff. So I called him and I said, can you code blockchain? Can you do? He's like, I've been wanting to get into that. I said, okay, send me all of your information over. We're going to figure this one out. Right. And so as soon as that drop went, we made the generative heads. And I was like, we're using all the assets from the entire CYKO universe. We're going to use the horns from Mega KO. We're going to use the teeth from Skull Zap. Because there are maybe about 40 or 50 characters. What's great about ideas is that when you write a new story, these characters, you're creating just new assets and new property, right? New intellectual property. And so I built up this catalog of characters. So every time I do a new comic, I'm creating even new ones and new ones. So all these assets, eyes and noses and stuff, can all be used in the generative assets. So we
Nice.
did these generative heads. I love the way they look because they reminded me of Mad Balls. Do you remember Mad Balls? They were like
is that like this squeezy ball? They're like a one's like a zombie's got
yeah,
stitches.
yes,
Is that yes?
yeah,
Like late 80s, I think maybe.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, they're like Mad Balls, only they use all the assets from the CYKO universe. So yeah, so I said to Austin, can you do this? I want them to open up a comic, and he had it ready to go by the time the drop went. And then after that, we created Beat Lordo, which is that Pong game.
Yep.
Yeah, that uses the
World famous.
Yeah.
Beat Lordo. So, but all these, even Blordo. So I'm working on another comic, not to jump ahead, but all those NFTs that you see that are like airdropped, and like even the rings, Blordo, Cursorella, even the 3 you appear in the comic that won the bid,
Yep.
last time around, they're going to be in this next comic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I
Are
tried to
those all
incorporate all
done?
that.
Were those all redeemed?
The answer is yes. I think there are definitely three of them, and I think they all were redeemed. I mean, I could check on that. I know I reach out to. I tried to make it a point to like send all the redeemables and reach out to everybody as soon as possible because I don't want. I feel like I don't want to neglect 4 out of 5. Yeah.
So was that the one where they made a character, or they themselves are going to be in the?
Well,
in the
I work with them directly. So I say, what do you want your character to be? This is the
Okay.
situation.
Okay.
You're on Psycho Heads. You're on Heads Jungle Island, and you have to get to the volcano, and you meet Psycho KO. And so don't pick anything boring. Like, like I'll actually help them develop the character. And we have one that was really sort of, this is exactly what I want. And it happened to work out because this character like is great. And so he wanted some lines built in. And I said, yeah, I could do that. So I wrote the script and I'm just building it now. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And here's the best part. It is going to be printed, right? As I think I might do it as another NFT drop, but it's going to be printed into like a collected edition and distributed by Rocket Ship. And we have distro through Simon and Schuster, which means that like it's going to go into all the bookstores,
Wow.
That's pretty exciting.
That is pretty cool.
You're going to live, famously, infamously, whatever.
Your 10 minutes are coming.
Yes. Exactly.
So there's 3 things on that psychoheads.com, right? So there's the Attacking Kraken that you're able to read the comic. There's the Beat Blordo. And then there's, you mentioned it earlier, coming soon, an animated series. So owning a Psycho Head is going to give access to that? Or is that something just kind of coming soon, like being announced there?
Yeah, it's coming soon. It's going to be content that the plan is that there will be content there that will be for the psycho heads. That's not to say it's going to be all the content. It's going to be, sort of episodic in a way. And so the content will also live elsewhere as well. Not as
Okay,
well,
but
not as well. There will be like little shorts, I guess.
okay, so it's still the Psycho Head is going to get you access to something more
To
in
something
the
more,
future.
yeah, something animated for sure. So the idea is, I guess I could say, the idea is to do a bulk of CYKO animated stuff. As you know, animation is super expensive. Luckily, I work with animation studios. I produced, as you probably know, because I've talked about this on my stream. And every time I do, Strig always says, "Take a shot," because I mentioned I was just trying to hype up the movie, but I produced Night of the Animated Dead for Warner Brothers last year. And so, budget
Nice.
wise, I'm very familiar with what the budgets really are, right? So, like, you could go to an animation studio here, anywhere in the country, and the famous ones, right? The big ones. And they're going to charge you a rate that is going to be like, okay, that's the rate I expected, which could be anywhere from like $10,000 to $20,000 a minute, right? But the truth is, they don't really do the animation here. They're doing, and they never really did. It's not like there's like a group of animators in a room, slugging away. What they do is they do like the storyboards, the character turns, or the model sheets, right? And then they do the animatic, maybe, and the voice recording. And then what they do is they ship that all off to someone else in another country who does all the animation and returns it, right? And so their margins are very good, very good. I don't really work that way, like I live pretty modestly, and I'm able to work with those studios and get it for the price that we needed to get. So in the end, should there happen to be, I don't want, without saying too much here, should there be an opportunity to raise money for an animated series, I'm going to produce as much content as we possibly can. And it's going to go to where it should go, as well as, feed the psycho heads as well.
Very cool.
That's the idea. More on that later. I wish I can't. I want to tell you everything, but and it's, believe me, it's not on purpose. I want to put it out there. Like, yeah, we have plans to do it. But in
Yeah.
terms of like the partners and all the other stuff, that's not done yet. But it will be shortly. So
No, I hear you. I'm the guy that waits till like right before I'm giving somebody the present to get it because I don't want to not give it to them.
right,
You know,
right,
so
right.
it's like I can't spoil it if I haven't done it yet. So
right, exactly.
but I don't know if you caught our episode with Twitch Pixel Studios, but there are a couple that were in Canada and basically sold everything and moved to Panama so that they basically are doing their own animations, and they got some characters that they've created, and they're coming out with they're basically making a cartoon themselves.
Yeah, I know of them, and they do the imaginary friends, right? No, is that
No, this is
no,
the
Twitch yeah, sorry,
yeah,
yeah,
the candy corn and
yep,
the derp, and yeah, the
yep,
unicorn dicks.
right. I was getting them confused as I just did, so apologies to them for that. I didn't mean it. But yeah, I did.
They accepted your apology. I just heard on the
okay. Yeah, yeah, I know. And I thought, yeah, it's the unicorn D word, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, unicorn detectives.
right. That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. I love their stuff too. That's great.
Yeah,
Same
and
with
they're cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. Imaginary friends. Yeah, great stuff. A lot of great stuff on Theta Drop, really. And some of it can get overlooked quite easily. And then you start, having a chat with the creators, and it's like, wow, there's a lot more to this than just an NFT drop, for the most part.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right, exactly. And I know and I think that's the thing that people like as NFTs evolve, it's attracting people like myself who've, been making content for 20 years, but how do you monetize it? I can never monetize it. Like, okay, well, you make a comic or you put something on YouTube or something. And NFTs really provide the opportunity, as we all know, to actually say, oh, yeah, no, this has value and you can buy this and own it. And that's was an absolute game changer all around when I realized like, oh, well, because I thought a while back I wanted to put stuff on the blockchain, but I didn't realize that NFTs were the avenue for that at the time, as a
Yeah.
lot of people did it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was just curious. I think that you had said something previously about the meme ops. Is there something more coming with the meme op? I know you're like a man of a million projects over here, so not trying to throw more on your plate,
A
but
ton of
Yeah.
projects.
What about the meme ops, Rob? We're no,
let's get back to the meme ops.
Let's get back to meme ops. Well, there is a meme op mania game, the Maze Mayhem. What we are doing, have you played that at all? It's like a Pac-Man game, right? You attach your meme op and
I didn't even know about this. How
oh
did I
yeah,
not
yeah,
know
yeah.
about this?
All right. Yeah, yeah. If you go to memeopmania.com and click
Okay.
on game, you can attach your MetaMask. It will sniff out your meme ops and you could use your meme op to play. And we are now working on the T Fuel Tonic as being a power up,
Oh, sweet.
as well as doing something with Mega Meme Op. But the T Fuel Tonic for sure, because but it's packed. It's like a Pac-Man game. So you're being chased around by Blordo and his
Oh,
gang.
okay.
Yeah, so
Cool.
that's where we're not Blordo. I'm sorry. It's a Hexo Disco, who's also in the
Oh,
comic next
he
time
was a
around.
drop too, right?
He was a drop, yeah. So you could actually play Hexo Disco against Hexo Disco, and I think what we should do then is like power that up. But Austin is coding the T Fuel Tonic piece to that.
Very cool. All right. So now let's talk a little about ThetaCon.
Yeah,
You're also
ThetaCon.
another one of your projects you got going on since
Yeah.
you didn't have enough.
I also want to like tell you not to like this isn't a flex or anything, but I'm also partners in Rocket Ship Entertainment, which is a pretty booming graphic novel publishing company. And essentially, what we do is we take webtoons and we format them into these beautiful looking books and really popular webtoons, I might add. But we work with POW Entertainment, which is Stan Lee's company, and Legendary. And so pictures. And I'm like the guy who sources all the stuff out of China. So I just got done sourcing a Dune Gom Jabbar needle, like, and like a sword and stuff like that. So I'm doing that the other part of the time. So in addition to streaming, but yeah, so ThetaCon was like Brian Macer's. I know people were talking about ThetaCon or something like a ThetaCon, a meetup or something for years. And so I was just like goofing around. I was like, hey, when are we meeting for ThetaCon? And Brian Macer like instantly messages me and he's like, dude, we have to make this happen, dude. I'm like, I don't know. I have like quite a bit going on. It's a huge undertaking. No. I'll do it, whatever. Now it's morphed. Like, so Brian, true to his word, he got Doc Theta and he got me, and we're like board members. And now it's morphed into like, we kind of got the blessing of Theta Labs, which is nice. And even the participation of Theta Labs and even, a bunch of other partners like Replay, which is phenomenal. G
Yeah.
Fuel, G
Yep.
World. So yeah, there are some
I heard
people
Pop and
coming to
Mags were going to be there too.
Pop and Mags are going to be there. That's right. Podcast in there. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. I mean, and there's Andrea Berry's going to be there. Wes Levitt. I think some more of the Theta team are going to be there. The thing is before, Mainnet 4.0 goes live like the day before.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think Mitch or Jai can make it there because I don't know. I'm speaking for them. I have no idea. I'm just guessing that they have to like, kind of take care of the baby,
Yeah.
So there was this thing years ago. This is kind of like my wife used to work for a bakery and the bread guys used to carry around This is so bizarre. The starter yeast, it's like there's like you can't let the starter yeast ever go bad. So it's like they take care of it in like this like incubator thing or something. It was weird. So they would take it to parties with them, like, we need the yeast for the bread. So it's like they're a little baby. I don't know. I think I got that all wrong, but this is what I pictured, like, bringing around this thing all the time. That's what they're going to be doing, I think.
Main net 4 is the baby.
Is the baby.
The starter yeast.
You gotta see the baby.
Jerry.
That would be funny. That would be hysterical if we had like at ThetaCon a little like baby doll in like, little stroller or something. Mainnet 4.0. That one doesn't make any sense. People would be so confused.
You're gonna be confused anyway.
Yeah.
Oh boy. You can tell it's past my bedtime. I start saying like wacky things. It was like the other night. I was like, oh man.
Okay, well, speaking of wacky things, can I ask something? It's been bothering me it's not bothering me, but it's been on my radar for a while.
Okay.
And completely unrelated to anything that you've talked about or done so far.
Yeah.
So and I could be way off. And in that case, I'll cut that. So, sometimes you see who follows who, and sometimes there's like similar follows or you may follow something someone else does or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So there's one thing, there's this show that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and you are the only one in my whole Theta Twitter space that follows this page. And so I'm wondering if you actually watch the show or you just follow them.
Please say I think you should leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Rob, you're the only one. You're the only one.
Yeah.
It baffles my mind.
I am absolutely hopelessly addicted to that show. I can't. I do this. I like the skits are in my head, like they play like a song,
Yeah.
And it's all the time. My son turned me on to the show. I was like, I'd seen it on Netflix, and I was like, I don't know, it looks silly, and I didn't quite know. I don't think the card on Netflix does it justice, because my son said, you got to see this. And I was like, he goes, it's your humor. I'm telling you, it's your humor. He showed me the first episode. Now, the thing about this show, right, as you can agree, Max, it's like you have to watch at least 3 of them, because if you hit a foul ball, you're going to be like, this is the dumbest show I've ever seen. It's not funny.
Right. And 2, what happened was I watched the first season and I had a couple chuckles and nothing brought me in. And then the thing with is it Stephen Yoon? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
But he didn't take too big a slice, and and then the guy wound up dying because that stuck with me. So I kind of watched it all. The Stanzo brand fedoras cracked me up. But then the weirdest thing happened. The second season came out. I watched the damn thing, and I was like, "This is not as good as the first season." But then I keep watching this damn thing, and I am dead every time.
Right.
I mean, and I'd have to say and actually something to tie into you, but my take is I really enjoyed the sloppy steaks and the damn the shirts. Oh, what one was that? The
Dan Flashes.
Dan Flashes.
Yeah.
But
with the patterns.
Right. And then so because I saw you and you just mentioned you got back from Portland and you were at Comic-Con right in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I the one with the drive-in test where what is her job again? It's tables. And then they find out they're working all these Comic-Cons.
Yeah.
Right, Comic-Cons and Horror-Cons. You gotta keep the Crypt Keeper happy or whatever. But everyone should if you have a sense of humor, if you like to laugh, you need to watch it. So they have these meme, and their meme pages are always on point. It's just everything you could think of can come back to a meme or GIF from that show.
100%. Yeah, I mean, if people aren't familiar with this show, you're good. It's a really sort of specific type of absurdist humor, that takes things, really too far, these awkward situations way too far. What's really interesting about it though, is that the level of humor, it like you get used to it and think it's funnier over time. Like to your point, you didn't really like the second season, but as you keep watching it more, you start to understand the humor. And then because of that, it becomes funnier. It's almost like drinking wine. You don't know what the flavors are, but then when you
Right.
go back and you become better at those, tasting wine. Oh yeah, I like that. It's got a fullness or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
and so same thing. I, skits I didn't think were funny are some of my favorites now.
Right.
Like
Yeah. It's
the
oh my
food with
god.
the professor. Give me that.
Give
Give
me
me
that.
that. Give me that. Oh, sure. I'm joking. I'm joking. Like stuff like that is
Yeah.
it. And people who aren't watching this show have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, watch it.
But we know. Well, all I know is me and you know because
It's
you're the only one I see following some of their many meme
oh,
pages.
yeah.
And I'd actually, because I knew you were on, I just had to double check because I'm like, I don't want to feel like a fool because I feel like a fool all the time, which would be perfect because we're talking about this show
Exactly.
that you didn't. But I'm like, that burnt in my head the first time I saw it, like months ago or something, and I was like, I have to find out about that. The two main
Yeah.
things I had for you, not necessarily Fate and NFT related or whatever, was I Think You Should Leave
Yeah.
and Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
So-
There you go. Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Exactly.
I could talk about that show all night long, and this podcast would get terribly boring. But
Right.
yeah,
I'd let you, Rob. You'd have me in stitches though.
Oh my
'cause just
god,
telling about it.
just talking about the show is like funny.
Yeah. So Sheriff is he's on he doesn't pay attention too much, but we have a friends group, like a signal chat. A lot of times, me and somebody else will just throw things in there as the situation goes, and nobody knows what the hell we're talking about.
What the
It's
hell?
been
we're
like
talking-
that for years with you, Max. I never hardly know where you're coming from. You kidding me?
I have to tell you. So I when we were out in Portland, we're all standing there, and there's only one other person in that group out of like the 5 that were there that watched the show. And all weekend long, we were going back and forth and telling jokes and stuff like that. We're waiting for an Uber. And Sheriff, this isn't going to mean anything to you, and probably not to the audience. But if you do watch it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I said, yeah, someone said something about someone else's pants, and I said, yeah, well, they're not like chode jeans. And actually, someone said, what are chode jeans? I said, jeans built for a chode. I said 54-inch waist, 12-inch high. Yeah, I said freaking
Something like
junk,
junk.
right? And it was the exact lines. It was the exact situation from there. And this guy's cracking up. And my partner looks at me and goes, what are you talking about? And it was the actual skit from it. It was so like, I wish that could have been recorded, because that in itself was like, it's stupid the way I'm saying it now, but it was funny then.
The only thing I wanted to continue on that popped in my head when he mentioned that, he's like, chode jeans.
Chode.
I don't remember the girl's name. He's like, I almost killed myself. So he was joking. He almost committed suicide because for his birthday,
Yeah,
he got
Julie.
these chode jeans as a gift.
Yeah. and she goes, my husband's very good looking. Julie. Like
Julie.
Julie. Like, oh my God. Sheriff, you got to watch this show. I'm telling you. It's very
So it's, what's really funny is that before we started here, Mags was like, he's like, Sheriff, Rob's kind of your guy, you got to be the one to bring him in on this. I don't really know. In my back of my head, I'm like, this is going to happen at some point in this podcast. I just know it is, because you guys have too much in common. Like, and immediately he's like hitting you with like, oh, from the 80s, the whatever ball,
Yeah.
and, Hanna-Barbera, like, all that stuff is over my head, but I knew that you guys were going to connect on a wavelength here. I just knew it.
Yeah. I think you should leave as the common thread for sure.
Right.
Julie, should have had such a sloppy mud pie.
When you were in Portland, was it? You said?
Yeah.
You didn't take any ghost tours in, did you?
No. No. That's one of my favorites. One last
absolutely.
one, and I'll just wrap this portion up. the courtroom one with the safari hat. That's like, forget it.
Oh, that's amazing. Yep. There's just so many good ones to count, and the
Yeah.
second season might be better than the first, which is insane. So,
Yeah, and there's a third season coming, which is great. So
oh, I can't wait. I can't
yeah,
wait.
yeah.
So how did we
Sheriff?
end up here?
I don't know. It was
We took a
Mags.
left turn at ThetaCon and some
Brett, blame Brian. This is all Brian's fault.
Brian, he's in bed right now, so
Oh yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Where
just
you
met
should
him
be,
the
Rob.
other day.
Yeah, we
I
saw
saw
that.
that on Twitter. Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. But it seemed like you two must have went to the same hair place.
Yeah. Someone said he looks like your son. And I was like, you son of
Oh.
No, that's
I didn't think I looked that much older.
no. You look
Well, I
like
guess I do.
brothers.
Yeah.
I was
That's-
gonna
that's
say
incorrect.
brothers. It's only my beard. If I shave my beard, you'd be like baby face. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
lying.
and got to bed even earlier and woke up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you talk about clean living. Yeah, that's exactly. That's why he retains his youthful appearance. He's 65. I don't know if you know that. Whenever you lie about your age, lie up. You know what I mean? And people are, well, damn, you look good.
Oh man.
Yeah, but ThetaCon, really excited for it because
Yeah, definitely.
what I'm really excited about is meeting the community, people in the Theta community who's, I know on Twitter, like you guys, but it's nice to meet in real life. And,
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's a great thing. And we'll see how it shakes out. I mean, I think for next year, some things might change, but overall, this is the inaugural event, right? So we'll be working out any kinks, and I hope there are no kinks. I don't think there will be, but
Yeah, it does feel like this has like the ability to be like the nostalgic ThetaCon, the one that people can look back on and be like, wow, I was there at the first one, and look where we are now before everything. I mean, I think we all agree, like at some point I feel Theta is going to blow up, and so is Theta Drop, and things are going to change a little bit. But right now, that really hasn't happened yet. So it's like this is kind of, these are like the early people still.
Right. I mean, I liken it to San Diego Comic-Con, which was started in like 1979. And basically it was like the same size, around 400 people. And it was just started by like, a bunch of people who really like comics, and comics weren't, hot then. Right. So they were kind of the underground. I recall being made fun of for liking comics, and so fast forward to now, what was last year's, 150,000 or something, 120.
Wow.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
New York, I think New York Comic Con is actually, I think, bigger now. COVID, of course, had an impact.
Sure.
And you had a lot of like big names pull out because of it. But, hopefully it resets at some point.
Yeah,
Were
I
you
remember
at the New York one?
I was.
That's at the Javits Center, right?
Yeah, there's one coming up in October that Rocket Ship will be at. I will not be there though, because, and it, you know what? No, it stinks is like there are a lot of creators that we have that were able to make this one that I won't be at, so I won't be able to meet them. But yeah, I have a thing with my for my son's school, so it's like parent weekend, so I'll be out there. I have priorities. And yeah, and I actually think it's going to be the last Comic-Con for me for this year, even though Rocket Ship will be doing LA Comic-Con in December, but I will, alas, be at ThetaCon. Boom, ThetaCon.
How many Comic-Cons were you at this year?
I don't know. Let's see, it was this one. We did one. I did Emerald City. I can't recall if that was last year. So far it's been, what I can remember, 2, San Diego and Portland. And then we were going to do Baltimore, but that's like Halloween weekend, and New York Comic-Con's right before it. But I think all in all, there'll probably be about 4 or 5 that Rocket Ship does, which is, they're fun, but they're a tremendous amount. When you say, and it's going to sound like a big downer, right? My brother-in-law works for a big company, and everybody expects him to like, so how's your job? And then, They want, he's like, oh, it's just an office. You know, it's a big brand. It's just an office. And I said, but people don't want to hear that. They want to hear you ride around on scooters and have rooftop parties at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So don't disappoint people, right? And so it's the same thing with Comic Cons. Like, well, how is it? And the truth is, they're a lot of fun and it's great to meet new people. The other side to it is the grueling hours of standing on your feet for like
Yeah.
10 hours a day, talking and ringing people up. You know, we're kind of a young company, even though we're doing really well, you know, where we still have to be there. We can't hire a staff. And even when you do, you like any business, you have to like oversee, the quality, Yeah. So they're a lot of work, but I still like them.
All right. Well, I was gonna kind of wrap it up. I saw that you had that NFT magazine website kind of picked up on the CYKO KOs recently.
Yeah, that was all. Yeah, that was nice. They there's a connection made, and Mr. Wizard is the guy. Mr. Wizard. I remember. Do you
Mr.
remember
Wizard.
Mr. Wizard? Do you remember him?
From the
Are
Matrix?
you talking like are you talking about like
Mr.
Nickelodeon?
Yeah, like Nickelodeon. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mr.
I did
Wizard.
some science projects based on what I saw on Mr. Wizard. Swear to God.
Yeah. Right.
6th grade.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Doesn't
was
surprise
great.
me.
That was good. Rob knows everything. Rob, I was telling Sheriff the other day about and he just didn't remember. Do you ever remember You Can't Do That on Television?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just loved. Obviously, that's kind of like where the slime I think came from.
Yeah, that's where the
Nickelodeon.
slime. Yeah, I got slime.
But
Yeah.
and there was kind of some funny things, but the thing that I just thought was I just loved so much was when they would like do these segues where the kids are outside the lockers and they just come out from the lockers and hey, so and so, hey, so and so.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, so I was trying to explain that concept to him, maybe incorporate something like that, and on the show, and it just went over his head.
Which I think they got from Laughing. That whole like.
Oh,
remember that they used to be
aware
like
of Laughing.
So yeah, like Artie Johnson. Here we go. This is what's funny is like my parents were older. I come from a family of like I have 5 kids and stuff, but my parents listened to like older music, like Engelbert Humperdinck, and then the Ink Spots and like all this variety of like music that I grew up on. So I knew a lot of the older actors just by default. So all those shows too, even though they were still before my time, I was aware of them and, would watch some of the reruns or whatever. But like, yeah, that was a laughing shtick, right? They used to like come up from the ground or somebody would like pop out, So yeah, so that I think that was like a throwback, to that.
I mean, as a really little kid, I don't think I would have known that, but that absolutely makes sense. So
yeah, they just keep reusing the same stuff over and over. I would like to see Mr. Wizard come back because I know, but you know what? They already have all this stuff on YouTube, right? So
yeah, but that like it'd probably be considered so cheesy now, like those opening graphics.
Yeah,
like
right.
The song when it came on, I don't remember how it goes, but I can picture it in my head, and it's one of those things. I'm gonna go YouTube that after we're done. Take a look
I know.
At that,
yeah, I am gonna look up You Can't Do That on Television and find out like where are they now? Because I think the girl's name was like Roz or something like that. I don't know.
And 2, Alanis Morissette started on there.
Right. Yeah. All right, I'm writing it down. Research, You Can't Do That on Television.
Sheriff, I am so sorry, man. I took
Dude,
this
there's nothing to be
direction.
sorry about at all. It's all good.
It's funny. I make all these.
It should be your show. The two of you.
What's funny is my wife.
I'm mute laughing.
I'll reference something from like the late 90s or whatever, and I find it amazing that like I'm gonna say kids, or whatever, they wouldn't know those names at all, and I'm like, why? Because when it was the 80s, I knew names from like the 50s and the 60s, right? And I wonder like why this sort of age-centric mentality came from, right? Like I don't need to know anything besides the now. That's not a judgment on kids or anything. I'm just saying like that's what it seems like to me. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I guess in regards to like knowing the names, is that what you're talking about of
shows
like movies?
Yeah.
Well, so I will say now it seems like a lot of stuff has gone away from traditional TV shows, and most people don't get back then. That's like where everyone got their media from.
Right, yeah, it's
was
true.
was TV. Charles in Charge or whatever show. You just would remember they'd flash the name of the actor on
Right.
there, and like that would stick in your head.
Yeah.
So I don't think that kind of goes on anymore. So.
Right. Yeah, that's true. We did have limited choices back then.
Very limited.
Like really limited. Like 3 channels. I do remember 3 channels, and actually we would lose the channel changer, like, so you literally had to use pliers to like to change the channel. I know that sounds like bull, but that's and it also like aluminum foil to adjust the antenna. Like honestly, people have no idea the technology today. And
Oh my God.
I do, and I absolutely do not take it for granted. I use it as wherever I can, whether that's mobile, PC, software, learning new stuff. Like I can only imagine if like, I don't know, whoever, or like, Edison were alive today, what he'd be doing. Like, oh my God, you could do this. Like what?
Right. Blows mind.
Yeah. Right. Not
but
that
they don't
medicine.
know like those old little black and white TVs maybe you had.
Oh yeah.
And you play with that dial, but
Mm-hmm.
you can only get like a couple channels on it, and it was always like going in and out.
Oh yeah, even UHF, right? Which is like the bottom channel. I'm really aging myself now. I'm 70. I'm 1,000 years old.
He's gotten 5 years older since he started.
Yeah, exactly. I've aged already. But yeah, the UHF channels underneath, and like, oh my God. I remember we got an Atari, which was the first home gaming system, right? I mean, it was the 2600. Is that what it was? We would hook it up. My old man would not let us hook it up to the color TV. He thought for whatever reason, Pong was going to damage the screen. He was convinced. And he was an engineer. So we just were like, okay, that's fine. We trust you. We hate you, but we trust you. That's not true. And so we were in the kitchen with this little black and white, like 13-inch screen playing Asteroids. And we were like, we just want to use. So when they would go out, my parents would go out, we would hook it up to the color television set. It was so sad. It was so sad.
Definitely different times.
Oh yeah. God,
God.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, I'll bore you all night about my stories of old.
Oh, I'm definitely going to hit you up at TheaterCon, Rob. That's for sure. And there'll be 2 of us that know I think you should leave. So
yeah, exactly.
That's all you need.
I'm wearing my Chode jeans. With Stanzo brand fedoras.
They're Stanzos. They're nice.
They're nice. You think that's pushback? You think that's slick back? This is pushback. And Sheriff is like, I've had enough of these guys.
Yeah.
We're done.
No, you guys are cracking me up. For real. But hey, Rob, I don't know is there anything else you want to bring to the table that we didn't hit here?
No, I mean, thank you for having me on. I am going to be doing an airdrop or a challenge this month. I just haven't gotten to it. And it's going to be good. I think I'm leaning toward having it be also a physical redeemable, which I guess I could tell you. I'm getting these. You remember? Well, you probably don't remember the Halloween masks that you used to get as a kid.
Oh my God!
In Kmart.
Yep.
Yeah. So
like the plastic ones.
Yeah, the Ben Cooper ones. They were Ben Cooper. That was like and so I am now. These are being manufactured now. Yeah, actually in the box. With the window,
cool.
With the whole thing, like it's super cool. And so I'm going to be doing that. And, of course, we're tiering it so that anyone who has a gold star or a gold CYKO membership card, will be able to get one. And so it's sort of like having those NFTs that are, if that were kind of like for premier members, let's say, or whales, so to speak, they'll be whitelisted.
Oh, cool.
To get one of these. So you'll see them on Twitter. I'm jumping out of my skin because it's like, I can't believe I made, getting these made. So Anyway,
Awesome.
but yeah, but no, aside from that, just I will have an announcement, I think, about the animated stuff and whatever. But thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, no, well, we definitely appreciate you making time out of your busy schedule and, staying up past your bedtime.
I mean, I'm no Brian, but I do. Today I've been exhausted. I don't know what the deal is, but I'm just so tired
Flew
today. I
back
hope
cross
I'm
country.
Yeah, I know. I hope I'm not getting sick though. As soon as I get everything. I got COVID like 20 times, whatever.
Oh.
It's like, dear God, give me a break. So anyway. Man, I talk about old stuff. I talk about the days of old and getting sick and all my ailments. I should be 80. So.
he just aged a little more.
My time goes faster than your human time.
Well, it was a pleasure. I didn't follow a lot of what you guys were talking about, but you seemed to think it was funny, and laughter's contagious. So I was laughing over here. It was a good time.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's great to speak to you guys. I heard, people talk about your podcast a lot, so it's great, and so it's nice to be a part of it tonight.
Well, we certainly
Nice to hear.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Rob.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely looking forward to seeing you at ThetaCon.
Likewise. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too, Rob.
too.
We'll be in touch.
Yep, sounds good. See you guys.
All right,
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Papa Max Podcast.
You have been listening to the Pops and Mags Pinecast. Music provided by Sushi Cat. Like what you hear? Send that cat a treat at feedthecat.theta. Pops and Mags is a scumbag hat production in association with Kyle's Hot Tub.